Hi guys, welcome to the Wrestling Retrospective, and in today's video I'm doing my review of TNA Bound For Glory 2025. To start the show, we had Steve Macklin defeat Frankie Kazarian to become the new international champion, and this was a good match. It felt kind of short, which I was surprised about, especially with the amount of time that entrances were given throughout the night. I was very surprised to see, well, at least it felt quite short. I don't know what the official time is for it, I haven't looked, but there wasn't a dull moment in this one. Macklin literally started off at full pace when he did a suicide dive onto Frankie Kazarian to start the match. And yeah, it was a nice moment to see Macklin get the title back. It was a good babyface pop to start the show. It was an enjoyable match for the most part. I very much liked the slingshot cutter that Kaz does. And yeah, I think it was the right winner. I think it was the right winner, and I've enjoyed Macklin as international champion. I feel like he sets the standard for the championship up really well, and he's only going to build on that over the next, I assume, couple of months that he has the championship. Though it kind of makes sense why Kazarian dropped the belt now, considering what happens later on in the night. But I would have preferred Macklin as champion, because my feeling was he was either going to win the title back or he was going to go up to the main event scene. And though I would kind of prefer him in the main event scene, I'm glad that he's got the international title back anyway. I feel like he's been absolutely killing it this year. I feel like he's been one of the more underrated wrestlers of this year. He's really carried that title really well since debuting it back in April. And yeah, I've got nothing really bad to say about this one. It was just very short. I kind of like to see a longer match, especially as Gia Miller in the next match had a particularly long entrance. You know, this one could have had a couple of minutes added on and would have improved the quality of it. But yeah, very happy with Steve Macklin becoming the new champion here. Following that, we had Tessa Blanchard defeat Gia Miller in her debut TNA match. And yeah, it was an okay match. Gia put up a good or a decent fight, at least. It wasn't great, I'm not going to lie. Gia was fine in the ring. I don't feel like Tessa needed to cheat to get the win. I feel like that was just a bit of a push. But yeah, I mean, overall, Tessa Blanchard had control of the match for the most part, which I fully expected. I'm curious to see whether Gia in ring is something we see more often, or whether it's just a one-off. But yeah, it was the right winner. I feel like it was under the wrong circumstances. As I said, she didn't really need to cheat to beat Gia Miller, because it's kind of a rookie at this point, even though she's not a rookie, because I know that she does stuff on the independents, but within the context of TNA, she is a rookie, if that makes sense. But yeah, a loss for Blanchard would have definitely hurt here, so I understand why they had her win. Yeah, Gia could do a lot better. There was a couple of things that kind of didn't quite hit. I think she did like a disaster kick type move, or like a crossbody, and she like completely missed, and Tessa had to quickly jump into a better position to take the move. But as I said, improvements can be made with Gia Miller in the ring, especially as she does the indies as well. That'll help her improve. Yeah, I don't think it'll be the last time we see Gia in the ring. I feel like they might do a rematch just because Tessa got the win via cheating. But it said, overall, it was an okay match. It wasn't great. I'd probably say it was the weakest match of the card. After that, we had the Call Your Shot Gauntlet, where we had two winners this year. We had Frankie Kazarian and Nick Nemeth in a weird decision. I really feel like they shouldn't have been the winners of this one. It very much feels like a step back to have them win the World Championship, especially from Mike Santana, that has spent so long building him up to the main event scene, up to the World Championship. Obviously, I'm assuming or saying that they would win the title from him. I don't think they will. But yeah, I would have had... There was many people in the match who would have been much better winners. You know, you've got Matt Cardona, Danny Luna, Mance Warner, Cedric Alexander, AJ Francis. All would have been a lot better winners of this match rather than these two. I'm very curious to see where they go with these two going forward as far as this battle royal win gets them. But the participants around the match were Lei Ying Lee, Mara Shade, if that's how you say it, Ryan and Nick Nemeth, Cedric Alexander, Saint from Sinner and Saint, who was part of the Northern Army at one point, BDE, the Razgulls. All three members of the Razgulls were in it as one entrance, because, you know, Santino Marella did his maths. Danny Luna, Eric Young, Jake Something, AJ Francis, Rich Swann, Rosemary, Hometown Man, Zach Clayton, Frankie Kazarian, Santino Marella, Matt Cardona, and Mance Warner. Some Notice I talked during the match. Francis clearing house made perfect sense. Him betraying Swan was an interesting way to go. I don't know whether it was a full betrayal or just a case of, well, you know, it's every man for himself and all that kind of thing. But then you would have kept Swan around maybe a little bit longer. But then he will over BDE really well. Obviously, he made his TNA debut during this match, and him taking a really cool cutter from him before. I think it was AJ Francis. Oh no, it was Nick Nemeth that eliminated him, I believe. But he made BDE look really good. He got three. No, it wasn't Nick Nemeth. The Rascals eliminated AJ Francis, which was a bit of a shame. I would have had AJ Francis maybe going to the final four. Yeah, it was a bit of a shame, but I feel like AJ Francis was a bit of the MVP of the match if I had to choose one. The Rascals could enter as one, but Sinner and Saint couldn't enter as a duo, which was a really weird part of the match, because when I saw them come out, I was like, oh cool, so they're both coming out, and then only one of them did, and they did a whole coin flip, and it was very, very bizarre, and the booking wasn't very consistent with that one, which I really didn't like. I love that Luna has gone heel, Danny Luna that is. I'm a big fan of hers, and yeah, I've been enjoying what she's been doing recently on TNA. I like the fact she's turned heel. She kind of got dicked on here, which I'll get to. Yeah, I was very disappointed. I think just because she was in that here, so I can kind of mention it. I'm very disappointed with the way that Rosemary has been booked over this past couple of years in TNA. You know, she is one of the former faces of the Knockouts division. Like, the whole division was like all built around her at one point, and she's kind of been left to the side, which I was very disappointed about. I was kind of hoping once I got back into TNA, I'd be able to see more of Rosemary. I feel like her character work is so good. I don't get how you can't be using it so consistently. Yeah, Hometown Man was in this one. One of my good friends, Zero, over on the DKO Zero channel, has interviewed Hometown Man. I don't think the video's out yet, but it's due out very soon, so go and check that out when it's out. Yeah, very disappointed with the booking as well of Jake Something and Danny Luna. They both got eliminated by their Hometown Man, which I was really disappointed about. Those two shouldn't have been eliminated by a comedy character. They could have gone quite far in this match and had really good performances within this one. You know, when I think of star-making performances within the Call Your Shot Gauntlet, I straight away think of Kaylin King when she kind of took Bully Ray to the limit. I feel like they were the last two, I believe. They could have made something out of Jake Something and Danny Luna here, which was a bit of a shame we didn't get to see. Santino Marella entering is an abuse of power. I don't care what anyone says. The fact that the director of operations entering a match to potentially get a world title match is a very heel move, in my opinion, even though people love Santino Marella, and the only reason he really entered was so he could get eliminated quickly like he was in the Royal Rumble, which I get, but he really shouldn't have been in the match. They could have given that spot to someone way better. Maybe someone from NXT would have been quite good, as there was literally no surprises in this match. No surprise entrance, no NXT entrance, all TNA guys, and I get the point that people would prefer that, but the whole point of this match was that we get surprises and people we don't expect, and we kind of didn't get that here. I did like the entrance of Mance Warner. I thought he did a really cool entrance with the whole zombie and stuff. Nick Nemeth and Frankie Kazarian being the finalists and one of them winning, or both of them winning, really isn't that good. They should have been given this position to a upper mid-carder and someone who isn't a veteran of TNA right now, and they should be making new stars instead of taking a step backwards. So yeah, really not a fan of how this one went. I enjoyed the match overall. Battle Royals are always fun, just the winners really left a sour taste in my mouth. After that, Kalani Jordan defeated Indy Hartwell to retain the Knockouts Championship, and this was a really good match. In-ring worked really well together. Very shock result, in my opinion. I was very, very confident that Indy Hartwell was going to get the win here, but it obviously was not the case. It was better than I expected. These two had very good chemistry. They mentioned on commentary that Indy Hartwell was in a tag team match, which was Kalani Jordan's first match in NXT, which I thought was a cool kind of callback and like a full circle moment for these two. The dynamic was done really well. The powerhouse and strength of Indy Hartwell against the athleticism and high flying of Kalani Jordan. The contest was fairly evenly contested. Kalani adapted well to the wrestling as a heel. I felt like she was adapting that heel, like, I don't think like, the heel style of wrestling very well. You could see it on her face. She was actually way more serious than usual. And also, she was going to be heel because of the popularity of Indy Hartwell, of course. A lovely powerbomb from Indy Hartwell, and the lovely elbow from the top rope as well a bit later on. Kalani countered the Hurts Donut really well multiple times, but when she kind of did a springboard move, or like a handstand springboard, into a position where she got caught and Indy Hartwell hit the Hurts donut. I hope that all made sense. I kind of lost my train of thought there. But the way it was just the first Hurts donut that was done in the match was done really, really smoothly and really, really well. Very much like traditional wrestling there. Yeah, I feel like it was a surprising result. I was very confident that Indy Hartwell was going to get the win here, but the match was very, very good, contested well, and I feel like Indy will get the title eventually, even if she doesn't get it quite yet. And I look forward to seeing a rematch between these two if they ever do it. But yeah, interested to see where they go with Kalani Jordan going forward, as I fully expect her to drop the title here. After that, we had Hardcore War, where the system defeated Order 4, and yeah, these kind of matches are always really fun. There were some awful spots coming near to the end, but overall it was a very enjoyable match. I very much liked it. Alicia Edwards was definitely the MVP of the match for that awful spot she took. But yeah, I feel like this was a good match. I was kind of surprised to see the system get the win. I thought that Order 4 would have been the better choice of winning just because they're the newer group, and Mustafa Ali really should be getting built to a main event level. Skylar got messed up early. He bled buckets and bled for a while and bled a lot. Like, it wasn't just his head, it was like dripping onto his chest to the point where like most of his chest was red as well. It looked pretty grim. The one thing I didn't understand was when Tasha Steelz and Alicia Edwards started fighting, we saw like a moment where a kendo stick out for a baseball bat, which seems very weird. I don't feel like that would actually happen. I feel like a baseball bat would destroy a kendo stick, but very interesting way to go. I love the staple gun spots, even though they make me cringe like fuck every time they happen, but I love it when they do it. Myers brutally hit Scotch, Skylar and Agent Zero with a bin lid, and I'm at a point now where the bin lid is actually worse as far as like a weapon than the actual bin itself. It sounds and looks much worse as far as like inflicting opponent. I like the moment where Alicia Edwards was surrounded by all of Order 4. I would have actually preferred them, as kind of bad as this sounds, I would have preferred them do some kind of heinous act where they like beat the crap out of her. I know that she took a really grim spot later on, so I kind of understand that they did that instead. But there was kind of a settled moment where they could have done something that really sent Eddie Edwards over the edge, and they kind of didn't do anything. They just kind of surrounded her until the system came and helped her. Yeah, we saw the moment where Moose came out and he slipped on a chair, which was quite funny. I know it's kind of, it doesn't really matter that much, but it's kind of just a bit of fun. But yeah, I mean, Agent Zero did a really smooth dive onto everyone on the outside. It was done really well. He is an absolute unit, and I can't wait to see him kind of more in the ring. I think he only made his in-ring debut properly at Victory Road, so I'm interested, or maybe I'm not sure whether that's true or not. I might have made that up in my own head. But anyway, I'm looking forward to seeing more of Agent Zero. Respect to Alicia Edwards. Holy shit, for taking a powerbomb from Agent Zero into the tax. And it looked brutal as well. The landing looked really stiff. So respect to her for that. And Mustafa Ali as well for doing a 450 onto Alicia. There was kind of like a moment where Alicia was down. Mustafa Ali covered her in thumbtacks and he was going to do a 450 onto her. She moved out of the way and he just went stomach first into the tacks. It looked grim. But yeah, for me, overall, it was a really fun match. In my opinion, the wrong winners, I would have definitely preferred Order 4 getting the win, but maybe they end up kind of continuing this feud on a little bit longer. One thing I would love them to do, and I'm not sure how long it's been since they've done one of these matches, but to see these guys go into Lethal Lockdown would be awesome. I feel like these would fit really well. But yeah, as I said, really fun match though. Following that, we had Javon Evans and Leon Slater, and they went to a no contest. The finish we will get to later on or in a minute. But the match itself was awesome. It was everything I wanted it to be. It was everything I expected it to be. The athleticism throughout was absolutely fantastic. It was such a quick pace match, which again I fully expected. Such smooth transitions from both. 2 frog splashes from Javon Evans were absolutely awesome. One of them was from like halfway across the ring or even longer than that away. It was absolutely fantastic. This one was so evenly contested throughout. I couldn't really pick a winner. While I was watching this one, I was getting so invested into it because it was just such a good quality match. The kick to the back of the head, followed into the cutter, and then going from a net breaker into reversing the OG cutter into a net breaker was just absolutely lovely to see. It was just like seamless from both. The perfect counter wrestling I think they did. They both did absolutely brutal strikes as well in such a high intensity match. I thought that the cutter, so like kind of John Evans looked like he was going to go for a chop. He hit a cutter, then hit the OG cutter straight away afterwards. I thought he was going to get the win with that. It was so smart. But yeah, these two just never seemed to stop throughout the match. They even went out to the outside, and that's where we had the time limit call. They only got 20-minute time limit. And yeah, it was a really good touch to have during the match. Santino Marella came out, gave him 5 more minutes to finish one, and because the match stopped, it meant that they both could gather each other, kind of recover a little bit, and then they got even quicker with trying to get a win in 5 minutes. And not long after that, it went absolutely downhill. Yeah, for me, the time limit really made people care more, but not long into the 5-minute extra, we saw the lights go out. Dark State come out, attack both guys, and the match is thrown out. And I don't understand how or why you would ruin such a good match. I understand that maybe some people think, well, they're saving it for when they have another match and it'll be even better. Or, you know, they want to get Dark State their heat back after the Hardys taking the title from them thing. So they're going to ruin a really good match. But this is a really risky move as far as booking goes. This felt like a very old TNA booking decision to have such a fantastic match be completely thrown out. And yeah, for me, this is a shame because this was such a good match that we deserved as fans, because it was arguably one of the best matches that TNA have put on this year. We deserve to get a winner out of that one. It shouldn't have ended in a no contest or disqualification, whichever way you want to say it. But yeah, this was not the way it should have ended. This was terrible booking. And as I said, I think it's very, very risky. And it's very, very disappointing because this match would have been match of the year contender. And I mean, to be fair, it still is. Just because it ends in a disqualification doesn't mean it wasn't a good match overall. It probably would make my top 20 matches of the year maybe so far. There's been a lot of AEW top matches, so have to give me on that one. But yeah, absolutely fantastic match all the way up to the finish, which was incredibly infuriating and disappointing. Right, and continuing with the disappointing, yeah, let's be clear about the the Hardys and Team 3D match. This was never going to be a good match. I don't care what anyone says, I don't care how invested you got in it, this was never going to be good. But this, like, I kind of get the whole point of the fun behind it. The tables match, the two greatest tag teams of all time, arguably going up against each other. I get the whole fun behind it. It wasn't kind of there to be taken seriously, even though the tag titles were on the line. But yeah, this was really bad, like really bad. Jeff Hardy, I'm not going to go through the whole match, but Jeff Hardy did a ladder spot because of course he did. But he missed Devon, even though Devon went through the table anyway. His legs must have hit him. Jeff Hardy cracked the back of his head on one of the ladder rungs. It looked awful. Like, you could kind of see for a moment that Jeff wasn't really all there. Yeah, the finish is where I have my biggest issue, because it was shit. The finish was absolutely awful, right? Because Bully Ray, I know some people call him Bubba, some people saying, you know what I'm talking about. Bully Ray, knowing that the match is currently at 1-1, Jeff has been put through a table, Devon has been put through a table. So the match is pretty much in hand for both teams here. And there's a table set up in the ring. There's a table set up in the corner of the ring. And Bully Ray turns around knowing the Hardys are fully behind him. And he just accepts his fate and just takes the table spot so the Hardys win. Which is ridiculous, right? Because Bully Ray, and I think like what would have been a huge swerve here, and as much as I would have hated to see the Dudleys or Team 3D as the TNA/NXT tag team champions, this would have been a really cool swerve if Bully, instead of accepting his fate, or just as he was about to accept his fate, speared Matt Hardy into the table in the corner and won the match for his team. Like, because I would have understood if Matt hadn't already been put through a table, or Jeff, hadn't been put through a table, and it was 1-0 to the Hardys, I would have thought, because he would have had to put both Hardys through a table. But because there's only one of them, it just looked really, really, really silly. And it really annoyed me, and it made me feel like this match was much worse than it actually was. Yeah, it was very, very weird. I get the whole nostalgia thing. I'm not the biggest person when it comes to nostalgia, but yeah, for me, it just sucked overall. But the finish was especially bad and made this so much worse. And yeah, I mean, to be thinking about it, I said that Tessa and Gia Miller was the worst match of this night. I am actually wrong. I feel like the Hardys and the Dudleys was the worst match of the night. And finally, in the main event, Mike Santana finally defeated Trick Williams to become the new TNA World Champion. And this was a great match. The emotional finish was very well done. Not quite match of the night. I did prefer Javon Evans and Leon Slater more than this one, but it was a very close second. I loved the fact that it was Santana who was the one that did defeat Trick Williams at the end. I said pretty much all year since I started covering TNA that Mike Santana was going to be a world champion this year, and his build from start to finish has been absolutely spectacular and absolutely brilliantly done by TNA. They had a decent start, brawling in the crowd before properly starting the match. The belt shot on the outside, then during the trick kick to get a really close call was a crazy way to possibly finish the match, but it was really made that high intensity feeling of the match and really helped this one along. I like the fact that Santana got bloody. The fans were absolutely electric during this one. Trick had control for a while before it evened out in the second half of the match. There was not really a point where Mike Santana was fully in control of the match, in my opinion. The rolling cutter is absolutely lovely every time Santana does it, and I feel like, if I remember correctly, he does it backwards as well, which is particularly impressive. But yeah, no, this was paced really well. It kind of slowed down by Trick, but it was done in like a way that wasn't too bad, as far as like it didn't feel, there wasn't a moment where I felt very bored in the match, and it stagnated at times, but it kind of worked within the stressful environment of Mike Santana getting the win in the match. There was a cool moment where Mike Santana was staring at his daughter and she just like nodded or thumbs up at him or something just before they finished the match. I thought it was very well done. He just no-sold the trick kick like it was nothing into the finish, but there was a really cool moment where then he sold that a bit like a delayed sell when Trick kind of fell into a pinning position after he kicked out of a pin, which I thought was really good and gave, again, that high intensity and stressful level of the match. There was a really nice sequence where he finally got the spin block? I don't know. But I thought the trick shot right at the end was going to be the trick shot at the end, the last one he did, I thought was it. I thought he was going to retain the championship and we'd have to continue with the storyline, but luckily that wasn't the case, and yeah, it's a really nice moment with his daughter just before he won the title. I like the threat of having Kazarian and Nick Nemeth come out after the match, so then Santana didn't quite get his final moment with the championship until a little bit later on, but it was a good reminder that those two are gunning for the World Championship going forward instead of them using for different championships. But yeah, I thought that this was great. I felt like it, I said, I know that some people maybe didn't like it because it kind of took away from the moment a little bit, but I don't think it did. I felt like Santana held his ground well, and we saw the return of Elijah, which, again, I'm not that bothered about. I'm not really a big fan of Elijah. But yeah, it was absolutely a huge moment. It was great when Mike Santana finally got to celebrate with the championship, and they brought his daughter in. I thought it was really, really nice. And yeah, it was just a great way to end a really great show. So there's my thoughts and opinions on TNA Bound For Glory 2025. Do you put down in the comments below what you thought of the show? Are you happy about Trick getting the win? What did you think of the Hardys and the Dudleys match? And also, what did you think about the Dark State getting involved with the great match that Slater and Javon Evans were having? I'm very interested to get people's thoughts on that because I thought it was a pretty damn bad decision, especially if you think about it. Wouldn't have Dark State got more heat if they'd attacked the Hardys and the Dudleys after their match rather than ruining one of the better matches of TNA's year? You know, just to put the idea out there, I feel like the heat would have been even more nuclear if they'd attacked the Hardys, and they have a reason to attack the Hardys because they took the titles from them. So why not have them attack after the tag team tables match instead of the classic match between Javon and Slayer? But I don't know, I've got really sour grapes about that because it really pissed me off, the fact that they did that. But now I'm interested to get you guys' takes in the comments below. We can have a good discussion about it. And yeah, lots of good content coming up. Yesterday, I did my review of WWE Crown Jewel 2025. In a couple of days, there is going to be coverage of AEW Wrestle Dream with my predictions going out for that. And tomorrow, there's going to be a Survivor Series card I'd like to see. So do look out for those coming up on the channel. Do subscribe so then you see them on your feed. And yeah, thank you very much for watching. And I'll see you guys in the next one.